A simple hand gesture can open the right doors, but also a lot of the wrong ones. Don't get caught flipping off people on the bus. Instead, just kick back and listen to us on patreon.com/WSScastProductions. For less than the cost of the hearing aids you will most certainly need after this movie, you can enjoy our show. That's bonus content, exclusive episodes, and early access. It's almost like time travel, but not really. Again, that's patreon.com/WSScastProductions. What? I think something's wrong with your mic, dude. Hello, Aaron? Aaron! You need to hit that button next to you.
What? Oh. Okay, how's that?
Better. Alright, now, what were you going on about?
Oh, Ryan, I was just welcoming people to the After Credits Cast, the only film podcast to modify time at the push of a button. I'm your host, AJ Waseska, and joining me today is Ryan Metters.
Hello, hello.
It's time to end this Nolan war once and for all.
You know, back in my day, time travel required like a big green stone and just a lot of reading, but magic words.
Really? 'Cause back in my day, it required a car and a mad scientist.
Well, I guess there's more than one ways of doing the shit.
Indeed. And speaking of more than one ways to doing shit, you can listen to us on various platforms of choice, including Patreon, YouTube, Apple Podcast, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, Peepa. And actually, Ryan, just a heads up, I hear Google Play is leaving soon, and I don't know what they're replacing it with.
What?
Yeah, they are switching over to YouTube Music, which means that podcasts will have to move to something else. I don't know what they're going to move to. So, for those who are in the future, you already know. For those of us in the present, we're figuring it out. Oh, and Podcast Addict. Podcast Addict is a thing on the list, too. I just forget to mention it because there's no link on here because you just have to look it up. I'm sorry. It's what it is. You can also reach out to us by social media, Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, and there's an email. Ryan, if they wanted to email us directly, what is that email?
That email is, what the fuck is a temporal pincer movement? Excuse me. That's evacstation@gmail.com.
Excellent, excellent. And I'm texting a guy. I just remembered we were on iHeartRadio after going over that list. So I texted one of the guys I did the short movie with. He was asking where he could find the stuff at, and I totally forgot that on the list. I'm like, oh, hey, well, here you go. Here's another one. It'll be a little easier than what you go through. We'll see.
Nice.
Today's intro song was Caught Somewhere in Time by Iron Maiden. Certainly not for any thematic reason or anything.
Of course not.
Just a good song. Just a good song. Today's movie, as many have maybe guessed, is the release of the movie we've been waiting for pretty much all season. It is The Dark Knight. Oh, wait, sorry, other Nolan movie. It is Tenet. Don't worry, guys. Dark Knight trilogy is coming. Please hold your questions for Bat Month. It might be a thing. It's in the planning stages. Just hold up. I don't remember which side, Ryan, we're supposed to be on for this one, so we could just kind of go through it and see how things shake out.
Oh my god, I completely forgot about this premise. Oh no! Was I supposed to be looking for things to hate?
I think we should all look for things to hate, Ryan, just to challenge ourselves.
I do have one interesting point of contention. It's not something I hated, but it's an odd choice. But we'll get there. We'll get there.
Today, obviously, Tenet, written and directed by the self-proclaimed last bastion of true cinema, Christopher Nolan.
When the hell did he say? I'm sorry, never mind. Keep going.
I'm pretty sure it's a thing he said. I'm pretty
sure.
Keep going. Allegedly said.
Alleged.
This film was released during the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic on September 3rd in the US and a week earlier in every other country that got their shit together much sooner. It opened here with a paltry $20 million, which makes sense since LA and New York film markets are still currently not open at the time of recording. Worldwide, it's made a current total of 207 million... Wait, sorry, I have to update it. There we go. Worldwide, it's made a total of 284,900,000 on a budget of 205 million.
Fuck.
Yeah, guys, COVID sucks.
Any other fucking year. Oh my god.
Yep, any other year this would have been gangbusters.
This would have been a fucking blockbuster. But okay.
What a depressing way to start this episode.
Honestly, I hope Tenet gets a re-release next year when hopefully we have a bit more of a handle on our shit. But that's wishful thinking. Hopefully we'll get it.
Oh, Ryan, you naive optimist, you! I have a cast list for you. The cast list includes Martin Donovan, Clemens Posey, Michael Caine, Elizabeth Debicki, Kenneth Branagh, Robert Pattinson, and John David Washington as the protagonist. I'm not even joking. That's literally what his character is.
He is the protagonist. What do you want?
I'll have words for this. There's some awards. No awards, actually, at the time of recording. We don't really even know if there's going to be an award thing happening for 2020 movies, because shit's kind of a little too real at the moment. So, Ryan, why don't you just take over some fun facts? Give us something fun.
Alright, well, okay, let me give you something fun. One of director Christopher Nolan's filmmaking traditions is to gather his cast and crew together before production begins and to screen movies that served as inspiration to the projects they're working on together. For this film, however, Nolan intentionally broke his long-standing tradition and didn't host any screenings. He wanted the cast and crew to work from a feeling and memory of the spy genre, including the James Bond films, as opposed to trying to recreate them. Yes, I love this. I love this.
Cool.
Honestly, James Bond is absolutely the feeling I was getting in the first act.
Yeah.
It's good shit. Next up.
Especially if you're taking the vibes from the newer James Bond movies.
Yes. Oh yeah, 100%. Now, next up, in addition to performing stunts backwards, the main cast actually learned how to speak in reverse for their roles. Kenneth Branagh not only had to learn to speak backwards, but also to do it with a Russian accent. He's Northern Irish in real life. That blows my goddamn mind that they didn't just reverse the shit. Oh, I love it. I love it.
I have to applaud some of the actors for committing to that bit. That sounds impossibly tough.
Yeah, that sounds super duper hard. And one of the main combat sequences that I'm sure we'll talk about at for a long time is so amazingly well choreographed, especially when you see it for the second time and you realize the actual rules to the shit and you see the fight in a completely different way. I'm getting ahead of myself. All right. Last fun fact. Composer Ludwig Göransson was about to begin orchestral sessions for the film's score when the United States shut down due to slow the spread of the coronavirus. As a result, the soundtrack was completed by putting together individual recordings of the musicians in their homes. Furthermore, Branagh revealed that naysayers insisted that Nolan wouldn't be able to finish Tenet due to the lockdown. However, he persisted with post-production by reducing the mixing room's team of technicians from 11 down to 5, and by wearing masks and practicing social distancing. Oh my god, that shit actually works.
It actually does. Who would have thought? Who would have thunk it? I thought it was just a liberal conspiracy to kill us all.
Yeah, it's almost like if you just wear a fucking mask and do what the scientists say, we can somewhat get back to a normal sense of life. But that's neither here nor there.
It's almost like if you remove the politics from a global pandemic, you actually could survive it.
God, our country's so fucked up. All right, we got some initial thoughts for the movie, man. What do you think?
Overall, I think it's good. Not without some problems, of course. I think this might be not problematic, but there's a few nitpicks you can definitely make here, more so than some of his other works. But I think it's definitely a good movie that Nolan actually seemed to have fun making. It's a level of passion I kind of felt here that wasn't really present in Dunkirk, which was the last one we saw. And it's a shame COVID kneecapped it like it did, because this is the kind of movie that I think everyone should see.
Yeah. I am gonna be really hard pressed to disagree with you on any of this. I had an absolute blast with the film. Overall, the total sum of it was amazing. I think the casting was fantastic. I kind of like hearing the explanation and the fun facts makes it a little better, but I kind of want to punch whoever did the sound mixing in the face for some parts of it. And there's a very, very interesting choice of music at the end that I want to talk about. But overall, this is absolutely a movie that, had it come out a year before, would have made gazillions, and everybody would have been talking about it because Nolan does his thing. And you're right, there's a lot of passion that you could feel for getting back to his style of storytelling. So yeah, you could definitely feel he was having fun with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan, are you ready to jump into this synopsis here?
I'm very ready. Hit me with it.
Oh boy, I wrote this like 2 weeks ago, so we'll see if I remember from you.
My drink is far away from me, so let's do it.
The main character is actually referred to as the protagonist for this film. And while I could make a bunch of jokes about lazy writing or poking the narrative, saying protagonist a bunch of times is going to get really tiring. So, referencing a previous work of John David Washington, he'll be referred to as Bobo. Bobo is on a CIA mission when shit hits the fan and is nearly killed by a strange reverse man. He takes his suicide pill and to find out it wasn't really cyanide, but a test. Bobo learns of an organization called Tenet, and through them he learns of technology that's come from the future, which can reverse the entropy of objects to make them move backwards through time. Short version, some things in action scenes will move backwards, and some people will talk funny. And a wizard did it.
Cagliostro!
Bobo tracks the metals of these future bullets to some rich Indian's house, where he is assisted by Batman Mark 7. It is revealed that Indian Dude's wife, Mrs. Indian Dude, or Indian Dudette, is the one with the information, and she tells him to go to the director of Thor, who controls the time reverse tech. Bobo tries to do a thing with Branagh's estranged wife, a cat. Said marriage is strained due to Branagh's holding their son kind of hostage. They eventually meet, and Bobo steals the time plutonium, only for a reverse time vehicle to pop up and steal it from him. And if you're wondering what any of this means, you probably should have watched the film. It's about to get weird.
Oh, is it about to get weird?
It's about to get weird. Branagh's gain has a device, a temporal style, which allows them to move either forward or backwards in time. Like the time link could go between the light and dark world whenever he wanted. Anyway, Branagh shoots the cat and takes her away. Bobo follows Branagh and saves the cat, but can't save the time plutonium. It's revealed Branagh is dying of cancer, and when he dies, the world dies with him because of some time nuke or whatever. Like I said, fucking weird. Bobo leads half a mission to recover the time plutonium to prevent this from happening. Batman leads the reverse half of the mission to do the same, but reversed somehow. And the cat distracts Branagh like all cats do. Bobo manages to recover the time plutonium. Batman helps. The cat kills Branagh once she is in the clear, and the day is saved. It is revealed that Batman was the reversed man who saved Bobo at the beginning of the film. Bobo then saves the cat from the Indian Dudette because the cat knows too much. Bobo reveals he has been leading Tenet for 2 years in the past. You son of a bitch. I'm in.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
That might be one of the cleanest reads I've done for one of those, too.
That's real good. That's real good.
So, yeah. Man, it's been a while since I've had one of those. Jesus. So, yeah, how was that, Ryan? What do you think of that movie?
God. All right, so it's James Bond meets temporal shenanigans. This absolutely was going to be one of my favorites.
James Bond meets Doctor Strange.
Almost.
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 But tech focused.
Yeah. Just like the concept of like things that move backwards in time, and then they escalate that to, oh, there are also people who move backwards in time. Oh, there are people who know how to do this, so that they go ahead, they watch the event happen in reverse, then they tell themselves about it before, so that they know exactly what's going to happen. And then the main MacGuffin in the movie is them trying to reverse the time of the entire world, which will either create a brand new world that they'll be able to rule, or absolutely destroy everything. Who the fuck cares? They just want to do it because they can. I love this.
It's one of those. So here's the thing. It's one of those gimmicks your film does. Like, so I'm trying to think of a good movie. So it's like the twist in M. Night Shyamalan. It's a thing you go to see, and I think it helps. In this case, it's like a visual thing, but it helps it stand. I think Nolan, when he's on his A game, he does bring some unique visual to every one of his films that stands out. Inception and Interstellar, good examples of this, and I think this one's added to the list because what other movie have you ever seen that you have two simultaneous actions happening, but one's like being played in reverse the entire time? Like, there's nothing else like that, right?
That's nonsense. Honestly, that's fucking nonsense.
And if you were to try to describe the visuals and mechanics of this film to anyone without really diving deep into the plot, they would just be fucking confused, because none of it makes any sense without seeing it.
Yeah, it's definitely a movie you have to see you have to experience this movie, honestly. It's not something that really translates well to like a synopsis or just telling somebody about it. Yeah.
Well, hey now, don't sell me too short.
No. Absolutely no shade on you. I'm just saying, like, in terms of what this movie's trying to convey and the ideas that it plays with, the sheer visual effects of it, it's hard to describe. It like when I say to you that one of the best choreographed fight scenes is literally a man fighting with himself as one version of him goes forward in time and another version of him goes backwards.
Oh yeah, no, that's nonsense.
What?
It's a bunch of words.
It's like, wait, what?
It's a bunch of words you just said that don't make any sense.
That's nonsense! I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's something unique that you're never going to see in another film, or at least you haven't seen till now, and you probably won't see it again for a while, unless someone decides to like just do the whole like transmorphers thing and rip it off right away. But considering COVID shut everything down, it probably will be a while before we get a rip off of this. So.
Oh yeah, I absolutely, I desperately want to see this movie again. I absolutely want to see this movie again.
I was that's like the first question I got on here is, knowing how the film ends, how bad do you want to see it so you can watch it all, just coalesce to that ending again?
Yeah, I mean, like really good movies, but Christopher Nolan's movies in particular, once you've watched it once, you come to an understanding of the story that changes your perspective on it. So when you watch it again, you're going to find new things. And then when you watch it again, you're going to find some more new shit. And every rewatch feels new because you're discovering like small pieces that he littered throughout the story. So this one does that tenfold. Because you literally are going to have pieces of the movie that are influenced by the end of the movie that you did not realize until you've seen the whole thing. Like, you literally have to watch it backwards and forwards. The only similar movie I could compare it to is Memento. And even then, it's different.
It's still different. And, so this goes to something I've always said before. I am not opposed to having a movie spoiled for me. In most cases. And the reason for this is because it allows me to then look through the film without looking for the surprise, but instead looking for what builds up to the big moment and seeing how all of it comes together in a more mechanical way. It allows me to be more analytical without like trying to look for something like fun, surprising, and goofy. I don't think it ruins the film to have it spoiled for me anyway. For others it might, but for me it's like, it kind of helps me focus on what I'm there to see, which is just how this film comes together.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I can feel that. Generally, I look for that in the second or third watch through, but the first watch through, I'm like, okay, the filmmaker has something he's trying to say with the story in general. So let me watch that and try to get like everything that the major audiences are supposed to get, and then in the second one, okay, now let me see how you actually did it, or let me look for small details that you put in there as well for people who have seen it already, and now they're really paying attention to what you're doing. That's usually my but the first one, that's why I don't want to be spoiled, because I wanna get the whole thing at first and then go back and watch it.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of spoilers, it has been revealed by many. Many actors of the film were given very limited views of the script and were required to record privately and in secret. Do you think this film needed this much secrecy? Even if the actors did know more of what happens in the film, is there any way they could have accurately described it or even understand it?
I don't think from a practical standpoint that all the secrecy was necessary. In terms of keeping things from being leaked or spilled, I don't think that's super necessary. I think what they were trying to do or what Nolan was trying to do with that, is to really capture the feeling of some people being more in the know than others, and having that, there's no need to really act that, because they really don't know what's where that's coming from in the story, so it can be a little more authentic. At least that's how it reads to me, because this is pure spy thriller, and if he was just going that extra mile to really capture the feeling of some people just knowing so much more shit than you, then I think it comes through really, really well.
No, I agree. I think that it probably didn't need as much, but you're right. It's probably good to, if you're doing a spy movie, this kind of fits into that a little bit. So I kind of see where you're coming from there. So this is what we addressed earlier in the Patreon read. Ryan, did this film feel a little too loud to you?
Yes. Don't get me wrong. There are Christopher Nolan's use of score is always really, really good and fitting with the tone of what the movie's trying to do. It's just the sound mixing needs to be balanced a little bit, particularly in a movie where you're dealing with stuff like the reversal of entropy and them going into these long explanations of exactly what the fuck is going on. In a spy movie, you need to really pay close attention to the dialogue and understand what everybody's saying so you can catch small things. In a science fiction kind of movie where you're dealing with time travel and people are trying to come to the understanding of what they're dealing with, you need to hear their discussion so that you as the audience can be right there with them as you're learning about it. If in a movie that does both of them at the same time, the dialogue is critical, and there are times in the movie where the ambient sound was so loud that I couldn't understand the dialogue. So this is definitely a movie that I want to watch with subtitles. But yeah, I love the actual choice of score and music, but it's just too loud. It drowns out the shit that you need your audience to be hearing.
And it kind of worked for Dunkirk because you're trying to recreate the battle noises through the music. And you lose a little of that when you're watching it at home versus a surround sound big screen experience. And maybe that's what the issue with this whole it needs to be released in a theater versus being released straight to streaming kind of thing was.
Yeah, I hope we get a streaming. I'm torn because I hope we get a streaming of it because I really want to watch it again, but at the same time I also want a theatrical re-release when this shit dies down. So, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I want both. I want both.
I know. And I feel like so, this could be a whole other conversation, but I feel like the movies that are saying in their trailers, in theaters only, really push the narrative that only theaters are worth seeing movies in. I feel like it's a disservice to the entire medium. I feel like you need to be open to the idea of streaming while we're in this situation, but that's a whole other conversation. I won't dive deep into it. Just, it feels very weird that that's what they're going to focus on, but I don't know.
I mean, it could also be throwing a bone to theaters that are really, really close to being put out of business.
Dude,
because the more that the the more that the movies are held back, like they're not making any money. So it could just be throwing a bone to them. But you're right, that is an entire discussion.
Dude, I know. Flix, I'm so worried Flix is going to go out of business one of these days, just with all this shit going on. I'm really worried, because it's like the theater I want to go to all the time.
Yeah.
So back to fun stuff. So this is our first exposure to Robert Pattinson before he becomes the Bat. Within the podcast, I should say. I've seen him in Harry Potter. You've seen him in Twilight, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. I've seen him in Harry Potter too, but yeah, I've seen him in Twilight.
Yeah. Well, I was adding that down there because I don't think we've seen him in anything else that I'm aware of.
I've also seen him in The King. It was a Netflix movie with Timothée Chalamet.
Okay. So I guess my general question is, what are your thoughts? And should we investigate more of his films before we see him don the cowl?
All right. So I mean, I have a great deal of respect for Robert Pattinson as an actor. Aside from Twilight, which he himself has very loudly and audibly panned because of how ridiculous it was. I think his body of work shows that he has a lot of technical skill and range as an actor. I think that this this definitely shows that he can hold himself kind of like in a more high societal way. And he can also be fun and kind of easygoing in a kind of a more highfalutin way. So I definitely think that's cool. I think what we're gonna see from him in Batman is completely different.
Oh, but yeah, obviously.
From the one trailer that we've gotten, I'm like, okay, this is going to be the Bruce Wayne that's obviously insane. I love it. Let's see him pull it. I think, yeah. I mean, I think watching more of his movies would be a wonderful exercise just to see, but I don't know if it's going to inform us on his performance in Batman, because I don't think he's done anything close to what this portrayal of year one Bruce Wayne is gonna be.
Right, because a lot of what he's done is mostly independent stuff outside of Twilight, for example.
Yeah.
Which I think he's even gone on record saying that's what he prefers. Or was that? No, that was Andrew Garfield, I think, who'd said that. He prefers doing more independent, smaller stuff. And Spider-Man was kind of his one break from that, and he's like, no, dog, I'm moving on.
Well, I mean, he also killed it in The Social Network, but that's Aaron Sorkin. You don't turn down a chance to work for Aaron Sorkin.
I mean, if you're famous enough like The Rock, you probably are I don't care.
Okay, sorry. If you are a very serious actor and Aaron Sorkin eyes you for one of his projects, you say, yes, sir, thank you so much.
I kind of want to see The Rock in an Aaron Sorkin movie now,
I mean, I think The Rock has a little more chops as an actor than people give him credit for. So I think it might be interesting. I don't know if he's on Aaron Sorkin's level, but I think it would be interesting to see what he could do with the Sorkin script.
I think the problem with The Rock, I know we're getting way off topic here, but I think the problem I have with The Rock is just he's very typecast. I think it's partly just because everyone wants to see him be the big muscly dude in a movie. But also, I just think he plays that one type of character pretty darn well, and I've never really seen him stretch beyond that role.
You should, he did a movie called, was it Get Smart? Or Get Shorty? One of the Get films. I can't remember. But he plays something completely different, outside of his cast, which is hilarious when you just look at The Rock. But also, I'd recommend checking out, he was a part of a show called Ballers, where he essentially plays an agent, like an NFL agent. And so that gives him some more dramatic stuff to deal with, while also dealing with people that, people that are athletes and muscle bound, because he is still The Rock. But the story is that he could have had a career as an NFL player, but he got injured to the point where he couldn't play anymore. So he has to kind of navigate that world that he could have been a part of, while also dealing with sleazy agents and trying to get the best for his clients. It's actually really interesting.
I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with the antagonist of Black Adam, but we'll get there when we get there.
We'll get there.
Right now, it's just in development. We'll see how it goes. Similar question to John David Washington. What works have you seen before this that and would you recommend we check him out? Would you recommend we check out any of his other shit? And should they hire him for Black James Bond when that comes?
This man is the Black James Bond in my mind. This was it. This was absolutely it. At this point, I don't even need a Black James Bond. This filled that for me so well, and it's so refreshing because I feel like his race wasn't made a big deal of. Like, you have a lot of people of color in this movie, and you have a lot of white people in this, and he is the only black actor that we see in the whole movie, but it's never really commented on. And everything that other people that he's trying to infiltrate on, everyone that, like, they only comment on how he doesn't fit into high society, just because of, like, you have the look, but you don't have the bearing. It has nothing to do with his skin. It's just that he himself was not born in this shit. And that was really, really refreshing to see him be underestimated and then show him, like, schooling everybody on the shit. Even though they didn't say it was about his race, but it kind of, like, felt like he was representing. Like, it felt really good. So as far as representation is concerned, this dude is the Black James Bond for me. He was so goddamn cool. He was so smooth. I love that dude.
He was pretty cool. Like, when I first saw the trailers, he came off as, like, a really stiff kind of dude, so I wasn't sure I was going to like him, but he plays it off really well once the movie actually gets rolling.
Yeah, like, he's like, you can tell he has the spy training, and he has the training to impersonate people in that, like, upper echelon of society, but he also brings his own kind of sardonic suaveness to it. That's just all him. It has nothing to do with the role. It's just he himself is kind of sarcastic and pretty like slick-witted, like, just by himself. It was really cool to see that.
But I don't think I've ever actually seen anything else with John David Washington in it, so I don't know what all he's done. But I'd be down to check out his other stuff if we can grab something for the show.
The only movie that I'm familiar with that he's done, which I still haven't seen, is Black Klansman.
Oh, I did see that one. Okay. So I have seen it. It's really good.
Okay, wait, you thought it was really good?
Yep. It should have won the Oscar for that year. No, I'm trying to remember. That was the year that, I think the Green Book won? Maybe? So I'm all for Black Klansman. We should totally hit that up when we get a chance.
I'm gonna have to see that. I'm gonna have to, like, dial down my social anxiety, because, like, just every time I look at that movie, I'm like, that's probably gonna be really good, but gonna be really uncomfortable to watch. Oh, fuck.
I mean, speaking as a white person who watched it, I found it entertaining because the racists in the movie were hilariously stupid. And the acting from the main crew was just spot on, like, no questions there. So I think you'd probably enjoy it, but not knowing your perspective, I could imagine there being a little bit of uncomfortableness to it.
Yeah, I still need to see it though. Like, it's definitely been critically acclaimed. I know I've heard so many people like it, and that it was just a really important movie. So I gotta take a look at it. Also, it's got Adam Driver, and that dude is really, really good.
That was the main reason I got drawn to that one. I'm not like an Adam Driver, like, stan or anything, but I want to give him more credit because everyone's like, oh, he's so bad as Kylo Ren. But it's like, okay, but he is a good actor. I've seen him in things, and he is solid, so it's not his fault that these movies are floundering. It's Disney's fault, but that's a whole other conversation we've already had. Check out those podcasts over here.
Again, that's a whole other conversation. So I have a quick, like, this is a small gripe that I had, and it was like, you don't need to feel compelled to add anything to it, but I was just
I'm going to I feel compelled right now.
All right. So the music in the movie, like I just mentioned about the race of the protagonist, like, quote unquote the protagonist, wasn't really made an issue of in the film, and wasn't really like given any credence or spotlight or anything. Now, when you think about the music, when you think about the score, it's like this real heavy bass synth kind of techno score, and I loved it. Like, I thought it really played up, like, it really kind of played the line between spy and sci-fi thriller. Like, I thought it kind of walked that line really, really cool, and kind of gave ambiance for whatever they were trying to do. At the end of the movie, essentially a song is playing during the credits that absolutely fits that feeling. And then Travis Scott starts rapping. And I want to clarify, I really loved the song. I loved I loved that ending piece, and I was vibing to it. It was really, really good. But it felt odd that
out of place.
Yeah, it felt out of place that this movie that really didn't put any emphasis on races and had this kind of musical score to it decided to put one rap song at the very end, kind of like, oh yeah, we also have a black guy in this movie. It was weird. It felt odd.
So I didn't stick around long enough in the credits, I guess, to actually listen to this, so I guess I missed this completely. But I guess going into the whole representation of the black character in the film, or having black characters in the film, it does seem a little weird. Not that they didn't call attention to it, because I feel like we need to evolve to a point where we're not calling attention to it every time it's there, because it should just be the default, it should just be the norm, that they're there. Guys, like, they exist.
We
cool.
we do exist. Hey, hi. We've been here for a while.
But it is weird they didn't integrate any aspect of, like, black culture into the film to just give that character a bit more flavor. And I'm wondering if it's because they're trying to... so there's a thing with certain agencies like Interpol and whatnot where they kind of don't get to have their own identity. Like, for example, there's this one gal I used to work with who was trying out for, I think, Interpol, or, like, studying to get into Interpol. And she wanted to get tattoos, but because of some really strict regulations within Interpol, you can't, because that could identify you if you ever have to go on, like, an undercover mission or something.
That makes sense. That does make sense.
And so I'm wondering if in this scenario, the reason his personality, his culture and personality beyond just what his mission is so blank is mostly because that's just who he is. He's the guy on the mission. He can't afford to be himself at the moment.
Maybe. I mean, I think at that point you have to choose which way you're gonna do it. Because, I mean, absolutely, like, rap music can be a part of this character's life. It can inform his character.
It was a whole part of Miles Morales' thing in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Right.
Listening to baller music.
Right. And Creed. You have, like, Creed did it really, really interestingly because you have all these orchestral pieces that are kind of like whole, like carryovers from the Rocky franchise because that's what they did. But all throughout the film, you have hip hop embedded and like melded into the score because that's a core part of Adonis Creed's character. So it made sense.
So kind of like how like certain bands like Trans-Siberian Orchestra blends like genres together. That's sort of what they did in that one.
Right. Yeah. Like I'd strongly recommend you check out some of the score or watch the movie again and pay attention to it. It's really, really good and it's really well done. My thing though is that in this movie it should have been all or nothing. I think there should have been like you should have had little bits of it seeded throughout, or none of it, because it like I was actually perfectly fine with it just being John David Washington, he's Black James Bond, and we're just gonna go with that, and the whole thing is just gonna be on how smooth of a spy he is, and he's fucking manipulating time, and that's just it. It's just cool, and there didn't need to be any rap music in it, or it could have been there are small bits of it throughout, but putting it right at the end felt jarring for me. I don't know.
No, I kind of see where you're coming from. I don't know if it's because of the particular music guy they went with, or the composer they went with, because I think the guy they had for this one was on recommendation from Zimmer, because that's the guy that Nolan normally works with, but he was unavailable. And I have to wonder if maybe they brought him on, like they usually do, would he have been able to deliver that kind of vibe, or would that have even been on his mind at all?
It was Ludwig Göransson, right? This is hilarious. He also was the composer behind Black Panther and Creed.
So then how did he not do this that way?
I don't know.
That's a missed opportunity, if anything.
I love this dude's music. Oh my god. Like his music is fucking fantastic. It's like I want to pick his brain on why just at the end. Like why just that one song?
I wonder if that was a Nolan decision then.
Maybe.
Because I feel like Göransson would have seen this, he would have seen how everything else worked, and he would have just been like, oh hey, we could divide this in here a little bit, it'd be fine. But I wonder if Nolan's like, no, we need to keep this straight-laced in all business, and... Because... No shout to Nolan, and we're not calling racist or anything here,
Absolutely
obviously.
not.
But I think he's got a very particular mindset and way of doing things, and I think this would have been, like, so far off his, like, radar, he wouldn't have even thought about it until, like, well after it's been out, and people call attention to it.
Also, it's quite possible that just for the musical direction of the score, he didn't want any lyrics during the movie. That
seems like a thing he would say.
I can feel that. I can get that, but the thing is, like, there are musical elements to hip hop that don't have lyrics, like different styles of beats, like different like tracks that you can like kind of lace into it. Like there are ways to get around that. I wonder why that didn't happen.
We will dedicate a whole pre-roll to hip-hop just so I can learn about it, because I know nothing.
Yes!
I know nothing. But yeah, no, you bring up some good points. It definitely feels like there's just a lack of personality from the main character in regards to this. Like, I don't think it's bad, but I do think it's odd.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's a choice. I just feel like at the end they tried to have their cake and eat it too. It's a very blithe way of putting it, but like I feel like it's just like they switched at the very last moment.
Well, Ryan, I think it's perfectly natural to want to eat cake you already have. Otherwise, it's just going to go to waste. I meant to get to this a little bit ago, but this conversation got really interesting. But, Ryan, we have to talk about the one thing that we've been waiting for since the beginning of this episode.
Right.
We have to talk about the meta. Because we're finally back to Nolan Prime. We're finally back to Nolan's true work here.
Yeah.
And he has meta text everywhere in this kind of stuff.
This is definitely a Nolan film. 100%.
So first of my 3 questions here. Number 1, what do you think it means for Bobo to be called the protagonist beyond the obvious he is the protagonist?
Well, the way I saw it, because I don't believe, or at least I didn't catch, if he was actually attached to the CIA, like quote unquote the CIA, or
they dropped the name, but they didn't have any proof beyond that.
Right. Like it felt like the level of the spy game that he was in was so deep and so like all encompassing that names really weren't going to be used because you're going to be changing identities every like day. So having him be a nameless protagonist kind of made sense. And I thought it was just a very, like, a cheeky kind of agent designation in whatever special organization that he was working in, be it like Tenet or be it whatever shadow organization he was working for before he was even introduced to Tenet. So I thought it was just like a fun meta nudge where like it made sense. It made sense within like the immediate groundwork that they use code names and like his code since he's the lead agent on this mission, is the protagonist, and then they use antagonists. Like, how many antagonists are there, and da 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 da. But him being the protagonist was just kind of a fun, like, it was like Nolan winking at us from behind the camera.
Well, so I was curious while you were talking. I looked up the definition of protagonist, just so I could see what it is, because there's two definitions here. The one we're familiar with, the main figure or most prominent figure figures in a real situation, lead characters, all that stuff. The other one that I found interesting was an advocate or champion of a particular cause or idea. And I'm trying to think of how that could fit into this one. It may not, but it could, because he is the guy who makes Tenet. He is the guy who we find out is the leader behind Tenet, and it's an organization devoted to the cause of dealing with these time, radiation things. So maybe that's also what it is too. Is he is the supporter or advocate of this group, and he's the one who forms it together.
Yeah, I mean, I think that also works for both definitions of the word within the organization. If he calls himself the protagonist or calls lead agents like the protagonists, but him being the protagonist as being the one who actually puts together and founds Tenet, being a subtle nod from himself in the past, which is his future. That's ridiculous. I love it. I absolutely love that shit.
Okay, next one, which is going to be a bit more complicated, I think. What do you think the temporal movement mechanics are a metaphor for?
Oh, I got so caught up in just how ridiculous it was that I didn't even think about it on a deeper level. What do you think? Let me hear your thoughts on it.
So, I might be stretching a bit, but so a lot of what Nolan does in his meta is allude to film making or the process of making film. We talked about this with Prestige, pretty clearly. Inception, certainly. Everyone's character role is a role of a film production team. So what if what this film is doing is a overall metaphor for the process of editing? I know that sounds very basic, but
no, keep going. No, I like
it.
I like it.
So when it comes to making a film, first thing you should know is you almost never record the movie in sequence. You're always recording things out of order. You're doing things in different directions, different styles to find the right films, the right frames, the right angles, all that stuff. So when it comes to editing it together, it's almost like you're kind of manipulating time, as it were. So you're constantly rewinding, fast forwarding, rearranging the events as is, and so as that is happening, you're kind of, like I said, temporally moving through the film in various directions to get the story and the point across. And so I'm thinking that the actual act of going forward and back in time in this film might just be him doing a metaphor for the editing process of making film.
So the Tenet, the organization known as Tenet, are essentially the editors of time that are constantly going back and fixing shit in post.
Yep.
I love it. Oh, no, that's good. That's really fucking good, actually. I think you got it. That actually makes a lot of sense. The whole concept of them being in the background, never openly being seen by the people, so everybody's living through their timeline and shit is going super duper smooth because the editors are in the background making sure the shit that would ruin the shots and ruin everything is getting snuffed out of the final cut of the film. That actually makes so much sense.
So Nolan, if you're hearing this and I got it right, can you please send me a cookie? I want admiration for my correct guess.
That's so good. I really, really like that. That's good shit.
Is there anything you want to add or any angle you want to take it?
No, honestly, I think you got it. That's just like the concept. Like it looks so. It's clear once you said it, like really looking at it, like, and all of the imagery of like essentially rewinding through time and just like like people looking like watching a scene as it unfolds and then them coming from the back and fixing it to be where they want it to be, like directors and actors filming the shit like one way, and then it's given to the editors, and the editors take that shit apart and watch it every single way to try and get it to the best version of the shot. That actually makes perfect sense.
And what's kind of funny too is you have to imagine this movie took a shit ton of editing to pull it off.
Oh god. Yeah, this is the homage to editors who absolutely had a nightmare with this shit. What do you mean the choreography for one guy is gonna have to play the same way forward as it is going backwards? What the fuck do you mean by that?
So, with that in mind, breaking it all down, Ryan, what do you believe Nolan's thesis or point to this film is?
It's interesting. There's a lot of talk throughout the film about, because essentially they are fucking with the fabric of time and like the manipulation of the timeline, and them like largely experimenting with things that they have no idea of how it works. And I believe Robert Pattinson's character like expresses like the way he thinks things work, and he calls it faith. So it's interesting kind of I know I'm kind of rambling, but it feels like all of the things that are happening to normal people that are happening as providence being explained by the work of these agents that are in the background that are moving through time that you cannot see or experience, but are constantly smoothing things out so that the worst doesn't happen. It's almost like they're acting as guardian angels. If you if I can like kind of stretch the metaphor a little bit, but throughout the course of the movie, there are very like actually technically sound reasons and like scientifically sound reasons for why the shit works the way it does and how they're using it to get the best result for everybody. But to normal people, that sounds like magic. It sounds like beings that literally can't exist. They're actually humans. They just have access to technology and know shit that's gonna happen before it does. And they have the skill to set it right beforehand. But for normal people, they can call that faith all they want. It's just the way the world works.
Damn, I got nothing. I think I can beat what you got here. This is tough. I got one of these three. This sort of one is a tough one for me to figure out.
Yeah.
I'd have to probably see it again to really get a clear idea. Definitely. Because the first time around, it's just hard to really gauge it.
Yeah, it's just the major things that stuck out to me were the concepts of like, these guys being like they protect people from things that haven't happened yet, and that if they are successful, never actually comes to pass. But that means they never get thanked for their work. They're working tirelessly in the places that people cannot see. They literally cannot interact with them at this point. And it's through their tireless efforts that the world is kind of kept safe from shit that you never know anything about. You can say that possibly being like going for certain agencies that we have that exist in the world today. You could say that might be an allegory for what people believe to be God, faith, or whatnot. But I think it's very interesting to tie that to the spy genre, because successful spies are also working tirelessly in the places that people can't see to prevent the worst shit from happening that literally nobody will ever hear about if they've done their job well. Like, you only hear about the shit if they failed. So their work is constantly criticized, but it's never applauded because you can't know about their successes.
I really like that. And tying it back to the editing thing with what we said earlier, it's kind of how their job is, too. They go through it, and they make the movie go from beginning to end flawlessly, make you think that nothing hinky happened, and if they do their job right, it's like you don't even notice the cuts, like you don't even notice the changes in scene or anything like that. It's one smooth flowing narrative. So yeah, I could definitely see all that tying together pretty well.
Yeah, I think so. That's going to be my final answer. Yeah. An ode to the people in the shadows, saving us from the things we don't know about.
And we can't thank them because we don't know about it. I really like that. Tenet, you did
that
good.
That was real good, guys.
Good. So, mail call real quick. For those who are listening to the show that want to help support our show, you can go to patreon.com/recesscastproductions to any time, not just, specific times that you have the time travel to get there. It's any time you want. Go there, you can donate some money, you can help support our show. You can also email us directly to give us your theories on what this movie was really about, what's really in the nuts and bolts of this. Ryan, if they want to email us their theories, where can they go that?
They can email us at "This man literally fought himself going backwards and forwards through time. How do you fucking choreograph that shit?" Sorry. That's evacstation@gmail.com.
Very carefully.
How do you even edit that? What the fuck, man? That's nonsense. That's absolute nonsense.
Also, I'm thinking someone had to be the actor moving backwards while he was moving forward, and the way of doing... Man, I don't know. I want to be... I want to get the DVD Blu-ray combo just so I can see the behind the scenes of it, because I think that would be the most fascinating thing to watch.
I need an hour-long behind-the-scenes documentary on just that scene, because the fact that you have to choreograph a scene that it's literally one sequence, but it plays one way moving forward and another way going backwards, and nothing changes, but the guy in black's actions make so much sense when you're moving backwards in time. You gotta... No, I need that. I just need to pick that person's brain. So I'll absolutely be buying the Blu-ray for this shit. I need to know that.
And I have to wonder, too, how many takes did it get it right? And the other thing, too, is you have to coordinate that to match exactly what happened the first time around.
Yes!
To maintain that illusion. It's a tough one.
That's nonsense. Oh man, I'm like that. That's gonna be my subtitle for this for this episode. That's nonsense. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, Ryan, now that we're at that part of the show, it's time to give this movie a score from platinum to trash, all the colors in between. Ryan, we're at the end of the Nolan Wars. For now, we will eventually pick this back up when more Nolan movies come out, or if we can sort of allude to it during the Batman month if we actually get to it. So until such time, Ryan, this is how we end it. What are you going to give Tenet?
This is a platinum for me. This is a platinum. I have small gripes with certain directions regarding the mixing and the music. But aside from that, it's a really smart spy thriller that not only steeps you deep into the spy game, but also puts that trademark Nolan fucking twist on it with brilliant actors and Kenneth Branagh being one of the most despicable fucking villains I've ever seen.
Very surprising he was that good.
And at the center of it all is the Black James Bond. I can't ask for any, I could only ask for better sound mixing. That's literally the only thing I could ask of this film. Yeah, this is my platinum. This might just be for me, but this is my platinum.
Oh, this is tough. I'm trying to think. So if compared to other platinums we've done, compared to other things we've done this season, this holds up remarkably well. And I'm tempted to give it a platinum, but I think I'm going to give it a gold until I can get a second viewing, just to see again the nuts and bolts behind it and dive very deep in the analytics of it. I think it's really good for what it is, but I want to give it that second viewing just to kind of suss out exactly what works, what doesn't, and go from there.
That's fair. And I honestly, if you want to do a Tenet kind of rewatch later on, where we see it again after knowing, because the rewatch is gonna be so much different now that you know everything. I'm absolutely down to do that.
Oh, absolutely. yeah, that should be it for this week's episode. I don't know when this is going to come out exactly, because this was supposed to come out at the end of August. And clearly that is not the case, because we're almost in October, Ryan. By the time...
No, it's fine, because what we're going to do is we're going to record it, we're going to get into the style, we're going to go back to August, and then we're going to put it in a Dropbox, and you're just going to be able to find it right there.
Yep, right there.
Yep. Because that's how time travel works.
Absolutely. But this will come out when it comes out. I don't have the set schedule, because I know we're also recording New Mutants tonight, for those of you who are super engaged with New Mutants. I know there's a lot of you. And the schedule will probably fill up the end of October, because October's schedule got buggered up this year for a lot of reasons too. You're all aware of this. We've talked about it at least once or twice before. So expect this probably towards the tail end of October, which is totally out of the zeitgeist for this film's release, but since we looked at the numbers and not a lot of people want to see it anyway, I don't think we're going to be missing much on that anyway. So, yeah. I cannot wait for 2020 to be over.
Yeah, oh man. Yeah, this is a fucking wash. Let's get to 2021, please.
Yep. Well, until we get to that point, Ryan, we have a New Mutants to talk about.
All right.
So, thank you for listening, everybody.
Bye.